to my remarks. We all got up at an ungodly hour. And I got Stanford, it was pitch dark. But as I was driving up to Danbury, the sun began to rise. And how beautiful it is it not? This time of year, it's Connecticut and it's most beautiful. And I had such a deep sense of peace. And then I made a terrible mistake. I turned on the radio.
Yeah.
And as you know, when you spunk up the courage to listen to the events of the modern world, they can easily be very discouraging. Whether war in Ukraine, the turmoil in the Middle East, the great torture that's going on, all the violence, and then of course now, as Monsignor said so beautifully, our sisters and brothers in Maine, the list goes on and on and on. I'm not here to depress you early in the morning. But it does raise a question. And the question, my friends, is this: how can the world find a better way? We are here because we are women and men of hope. How can we rekindle hope out there in the larger world? And I'd like to suggest very simply is that it begins here in this room. For what we have come to celebrate, my friends, is something quite precious. And not only precious, but absolutely needed for the world to find that better way. Because I think it would be a mistake for us to consider that we have come here to raise money for Catholic Charities simply because of the services it provides. There are many organizations that provide services to the poor and the homeless and the mentally ill and all the rest. And I am going to be unabashed at the end of my remarks to ask you to be as generous as you can possibly be. For the need has never been greater. But what I'd like to suggest is why we do what we do. The philosophy, the values, the faith, the foundation of what makes Catholic Charities so unique in that constellation of service is precisely what we are celebrating and precisely what the world needs to learn from the example of the countless people who are day in and day out making the mission of Catholic Charities real. For example, at the heart of who we are is a strong and unwavering belief in the solidarity of all God's children. That there is a basic human dignity we all share, whether we are rich or poor, live in a luxurious home or are homeless, whether we have a bountiful amount of food to eat or we face food insecurity, whether we have the gift of mental and physical health or whether we are struggling. All of us stand together as sisters and brothers in one family, all formed in God's image, all called to glory. And that is a fundamental belief of Catholic Charities. And rooted to that, you know, my friends, that comes a commitment to the dignity of a single person and every person, no matter who he or she may be. We realize that in Catholic Charities and all its services in so many countless quiet ways. Because we're serving friends, we're serving neighbors, we're not serving problems. And everyone who comes to Catholic Charities has a name, has a family, has a history, has a dignity, and has a place at our table. And Charities also is founded on that most profound human need to be a compassionate people. You see, my friends, many people can have empathy to look at someone suffering and to feel their pain. And this is a good thing. But compassion is not empathy. Compassion comes out of empathy. It's not only to see someone suffering, but to feel the need, to be impelled to help that person, to give so that that person can be lifted up. Or as the scripture says in the words of John the Baptist, that he, in this case, our sisters and brothers, may increase so we, in fact, could decrease. That is what animates the spirit of what brings us here today. That is what we are celebrating. We are celebrating all the good that Catholic Charities does, but what it stands for, what we believe in together, all people of goodwill, Christians and non-Christians alike. And it would seem to me that now more than ever, we need to stand shoulder to shoulder for what Catholic Charities does and is. For in a world that's marked with so much division, and so much violence, and so much disrespect, and so much neglect, there is a better way. And it's in this room. And it's all the good that Charities does. For the greater good of our sisters and brothers, and for the greater glory of God. So I'm deeply grateful that you are here in less than 300 people here in this room. It's remarkable. And I thank you for all your generosity. And as I conclude my remarks, I'm going to say to you again, I'm unabashed. I don't like to ask for money, believe it or not. But this morning, I want to ask. I feel compelled to ask. That whether it's that little green envelope that you have there, or whether you do it through the mail or online, whatever you do, you have been extraordinarily generous in the past. I'm going to ask you to keep being extraordinary. Strive for even greater greatness in the generosity you and God can show. Because, my dear friends, it will not only change the lives of those who come to us, and it does every single day. For we forget at times what a single meal at Morning Glory, how that can change a life. Just a single meal. Or a single shoulder to lean on when mental illness is really pressing on our life and we believe there's nowhere to go. We forget how miraculous those things can be, but I'm also going to suggest that all of us in this room as sisters and brothers will stand for what Catholic Charities is, means, what it's founded on, not only for the good of our sisters and brothers, but perhaps by our example, we could show that world that there is a better way. And if you were to ask me, Bishop, what did you do when you turned on the radio? I turned it off. Because I knew in my heart of hearts where I was going. Because I did not need to hear more and more an occasion for discouragement. Because I knew where hope would be found. And I'm looking at it today, right in the face. My dear friends, thank you for your presence, for your generosity, for your commitment to Catholic Charities. And may God bless each and every one. Thank you.